And whether you believe it or not, I had trouble with getting a title. What I don't want to come across too harsh. But I'll be teaching from the book of Proverbs. I'm going to teach from the book of Proverbs.
Amen.
Heavenly Father, let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, for you are my strength and my redeemer. Amen. Know this, that a proverb is nothing but a short statement based upon a lot of experience. A proverb is a short statement that is actually based upon long experience. It means that down through the ages, people have gone through the same or similar problems, and they've come up with a short statement to help those that will come after them go through the same thing and come out smelling like a rose, instead of allowing it to cause them grief, okay, and cause them to make the wrong decisions. It'll give them guidance. And the theme of Proverbs basically is what? Wisdom. The theme of Proverbs is wisdom. And wisdom is what? The proper use of what? Knowledge. It's the stuff that you know. Do you know how to properly use it, when to use it, how to use it, where to use it, and to whom to use it with? And wisdom, guess what it does? It makes a person wise enough to fear the Lord. And if you fear the Lord, you'll trust and obey him. That's what the book of Proverbs is about. We want to give you wisdom whereby that you will trust the Lord, you will obey the Lord. Okay? And one thing about wisdom is, regardless of how simple you may be, regardless of how simple-minded you may be, regardless of how unlearned you may be, you could be simple as a dove, but with wisdom you can become wise as a serpent. Okay? And you may explore and you may get into the divine knowledge of things just by listening to wisdom. Okay? The wisdom described in Proverbs is sort of like a spiritual sixth sense. You know, we've got 5 of them. Okay. But it's like a spiritual sixth sense, and it enables us to evaluate circumstances and people, and it'll give you the ability in using your wisdom to make the right decisions in life. In other words, wisdom will give you the ability to know people, to understand circumstances. You'll be able to know if that smiling face, a so-called friend, is really your friend by the actions that they take that you notice. And you'll be able to treat them accordingly. Some people you just don't need as a friend. If you got a friend like that, you don't need any enemies, but wisdom will let you see things for what they really, really are. Now, one thing I want to say about this wisdom is not divine. Okay, this is not wisdom that came from the throne room of heaven, but it's wisdom that was given from God to who? To Solomon and others. And it's simply there to help you with your life. They were written to teach men the wisdom and knowledge, not only in moral things, but Proverbs contain the best system of morality in the whole world. And morality is what? How you do what? Treat your brother and how you treat your sister. Okay? You want to be morally correct. And the book of Proverbs gives you the wisdom to do that. Okay? And the Proverbs will point you to godly character that will give you a fulfilled life. It'll help you, what? Avoid all the potholes, all the ditches, all the snares, all the I wish I had known Proverbs when I was a younger man, because I did so many stupid things that hindered my growth, hindered my development, that caused nothing but heartache and trouble and pain for myself, my mama, my daddy, and when I got married, for my wife, for my kids. I'm not letting them no raise no kids. All I did was beat. Do what you told, shut up, go in your room. That was it. That was it, you know, but I wish I could have raised my kids in a better way. And I see that some of them are affected by the way that I raised them. You know, when it comes to dad, they still got that kind of. Now they go to mom right quick. Mama. They borrowed mama's money. They don't come to me ask me for nothing. They beat around the bush. They tickle me. I feel my office. I know they want to borrow something. They'll come in my office and I'll be sitting there turning around. Yeah, what is it, man? Yeah, you want some money. You ain't got nerve to ask for it. I ain't gonna let you have nothing. You know, and there's so many things I could have done better in my marriage. On my jobs, I had many. I didn't know how to keep this, regulate this. Whatever came to my mind, I would say it. Here I am with three kids and one in the oven, and I'm talking about take this job and shove it. You must be crazy. I walked off of one job like that. I got away from that job about 2 blocks and was getting ready to get in my car. And I thought wisdom came in and said, "You done messed up." Then I started to go back and beg for that job. Would you please let me have my job? But pride, it wouldn't let me do it. You all know that Christ is the sum total of all wisdom, right? So basically, we took this in context, it has to do with the children of Israel, the Jews, as to how they rejected Christ and the penalties that came upon them in Jerusalem for rejecting Christ. But since the way that they were dealt with and the way that Jesus proclaimed the word in the city and at the gate of the highest temples and things, we're going to know that the outcome of the sacking of Jerusalem and destruction of the temple, and how that 500 Jews were basically crucified every day, sometime more, as the wall was being sacked, as Jerusalem was being sacked, as it makes these proverbs, a portion of these proverbs true, how they set Jesus up to be crucified, and he let them know that it was coming back to get them, and they were going to get their belly full of crucifixion. Well, it did happen that way, but I want to look at it from the standpoint of making a transition from that time up to this day, whereby that we can use this knowledge ourselves in today's day and time. And I want to juxtapose the Message. That's another Bible, a translation of the Bible alongside the King James Version, so that we can bring clarity to your understanding, whereby that you will be able to understand it a lot better. The Message is a very good Bible, okay? Yeah, most of the time it lines up with the King James Version, because the King James Version is the most widely accepted version of scriptural translation there is in the world. Okay? But it's a good Bible to, if you want to understand the word in layman terms, okay, the Message Bible. I'm not going to do any hollering, so y'all don't have to keep your own selves awake. Okay? And I know I probably got a soothing voice when I'm teaching, but I need you to stay awake on this one if you don't mind. Proverbs 1 is where we're going, and we're going to begin at the 20th verse. Wisdom cried out. She uttered her voice in the streets. The Message says that wisdom goes out in the street and shouts. At the town center she makes her speech. So basically wisdom is just there to be taken in by those that are passing by. Wisdom is all around us. We have many ways of getting wisdom. We get wisdom from those that have gone before, from our elders, from our wisdom come in through so many windows of our mind, and it's just there for the taking if we would take it. Okay, and so many words, wisdom cried without. Okay, and basically calamities. Jesus, when he was in the streets teaching, you know, there's the calamities that were coming up on the Jews for rejecting him. And here wisdom is said to cry out as Jesus did. In other words, this cry, in other words, it can be taken in two ways. It's a sorrowful cry. It's kind of like the cry that Jesus had when he wept over Jerusalem. Okay, when Jesus stood and looked at Jerusalem and broke down and cried. It's the same kind of wisdom that men of God and wise people try to share with the upcoming generation. And it breaks our heart.